Good afternoon. It's Monday, June 4. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. It was a bloody weekend as 12 people were shot, 6 fatally, during several shootings across 5 parishes on Saturday. 2 children, ages 12 and 16 years, are among those shot and injured. The incidents occurred in Kingston and St. Andrew, Clarendon, Hanover and Trelawney. In the case of the 12-year-old, who is a student of the Donald Quarry High School in St. Andrew, she was shot in the face. Reports are that a man was standing at a bus stop at Penwood Avenue in St. Andrew, the St. Andrew South Police Division, when a car drove up. One man alighted and opened gunfire, hitting him in the back. The child, who was standing at a hairdresser shop close by, received a gunshot wound to the right side of her face. Now, both have been hospitalized. In the other incident involving the 16-year-old male student of the Grange Hill High School, he was at a bar in Green Island, Hanover, when he was shot and injured, along with a 35-year-old truck driver. Reports are that both persons were at the bar in Rock Spring when men in a motor car approached. The men pulled firearms and shot them. Funeral home directors are again raising concern about the frequency of criminals launching attacks at funerals. The concerns follow the most recent incident just a week ago, where the driver of a hearse was shot and killed while on duty. They're also calling for tighter security measures for some categories of funerals. TVJ's Shamela Mitchell reports.
In recent months, at least 4 persons have been killed after gunmen launched attacks at funeral services. The latest killings took place off Waltham Park Road in St. Andrew just over a week ago. In that incident, the hearse driver, Michael Bent, attached to Tranquility Funeral Home, was killed while carrying out his duties. President of the Funeral Directors Association, Calvin Lynn, describes the incident as unfortunate.
In this particular case, where you'd have mourners arranging to go and have the deceased buried in a dignified way, and these people, heartless people, would attack someone there, it is really appalling.
Managing Director at Honeygan's Funeral Home, Melvin Honeygan, says the funeral business has become a risky business. Mr. Honeygan says they are now fearful about sending their teams out to cover funerals.
It's a very sad situation. A situation that I have never seen or heard of in my 30-odd years of business.
Mr. Honeygan says tighter security measures will have to be put in place to protect workers when they're on duty, in particular when administering some categories of funerals.
I think ourselves and the police have to work a bit closer. We have to start informing the police when we have certain type of deaths and certain funerals, and ask them to be present as much as possible, to see if we can partner with them to reduce the crime element.
Meanwhile, Mr. Lynn is calling for these attacks to stop.
But I do hope that for the peace and safety of all of us as Jamaicans and citizens overall, that this will be about the last of this kind of nature of attack.
Shamela Mitchell, TVJ News.
A man said to be of unsound mind was shot dead by a police team at Clydesdale in Alexandria, St. Anne on Sunday. The police say the man attacked one of their own with a machete, and so they had to defend themselves. The dead man has been identified as 30-year-old Winston Grant of Clydesdale, Alexandria in St. Anne. According to police reports, minutes after 9 Sunday morning, a team was responding to a threat reported by the man's sister. The police accompanied Mr. Grant's sister to the community. On reaching a section of the Clydesdale main road, the man was seen and pointed out to the police by his sister. The police team then stopped the vehicle they were traveling in. Mr. Grant was ordered to put down a machete he had in his hand. The police say while one of their own was alighting from the service vehicle, Mr. Grant ran towards the police officer and swung the machete at him. The machete reportedly cut the officer on his right thigh. The police took evasive action by diving to the ground, where the man chopped at him again. Another police officer pulled his service pistol and discharged 2 rounds in the direction of Mr. Grant, who fell to the ground. He was taken to the St. Anne's Bay Public General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The police officer was treated and released. The police service vehicle was damaged at the right upper front door jamb and the rear fender. This is the second police shooting in the parish since Friday night. A suspect arrested in connection with the May 22 murder of a policeman in the car park of the Terra Nova Hotel in St. Andrew has been charged. Omar Racket, a vendor of Chisholm Avenue in St. Andrew, was charged on Saturday with murder. Constable Darren Henry was killed when he confronted gunmen near the hotel's casino. The cop, who was on suspension from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, was working as a security guard at the hotel. Another suspect was arrested last Wednesday in connection with the killing. Detectives also seized an illegal gun and the getaway car used by the gunmen. The divorce racket in Jamaica is continuing despite much publicity since it was uncovered late last year and a major probe launched by the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck revealed in an interview with our newsroom last night that another case of a bogus divorce was brought to his attention last week. The document had a fake signature granting the divorce.
This decree absolute was not filed by a well-known law firm, and they have indicated that it did not come from their office, and it was admittedly signed by an acting judge, but the signature is definitely not that of the judge from all indications. And so we have another instance of a decree absolute, which was issued to the person in January of this year, but stamped in February of this year, which means that the problem continues where false or fraudulent decree absolutes are being issued to unsuspecting persons.
4 persons, including a Supreme Court employee, were arrested and charged following the discovery of the cases last year. They were charged with forgery, uttering forged documents, and conspiracy. There's a warning this afternoon for workers of the Jamaica Labour Party JLP-led government not to be complacent. It comes from the Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, as the government reaches the midway mark in its current term. More from TVJ's O'Shane Masters.
It's far from relaxation time. That's the charge to workers of the Jamaica Labour Party JLP from Member of Parliament for St. Catherine West Central, Dr. Christopher Tufton. He was speaking to workers of a party on the weekend.
When you reach midterm, sometimes the jitterbug get to you because some of us feel that after 2+ years, we never get where we did expect to get having campaigned, things not running the way it ought to run, not going on the way it ought to go on. Some of us get tired because we overwork.
Dr. Tufton also chastised some workers for what he termed a talk shop.
Not everybody who talk do the work. Some people who have the loudest talk, when you call on them to do the work, they miss it in action. But them turn up at the meeting and have the biggest talk.
He says the midway point of the current term should be essential for the party, as it now offers them the opportunity to carry out a detailed assessment of where they are and plans initiated to achieve unfulfilled targets.
This is a period now for us to reflect, to recast, to renew, to say, okay, listen, we have to do this differently, we have to recalibrate, and then get back into the groove to carry us to the next halfway point, which is to get the re-election for the next term. Because Jamaica is going to be better off under Labour Party getting a second term. Take it from me, and you know that.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And we go down to news overseas as Guatemala's Fuego volcano erupted on Sunday, killing at least 25 people and leaving residents covered in ash as they fled from billowing plumes. The details in this report.
This was a violent, sudden, and deadly event. What happened was the volcano essentially blew its top here, and that happened through the afternoon. And then what we call pyroclastic flow, very dangerous mixture of essentially volcanic ash. We have lava fragments that come out of that as well, and deadly gases as well. And the issue here, the movement of it, right? It moves at 700 kilometers per hour, basically the speed of an airliner here. And so there's not much time to get people out of the way. And I'll show you why that was going to be very difficult anyway, because right at the foot of the volcano, we have numerous villages here. Let's fly you into Guatemala and show you what's happening. There's the Fuego volcano, which, by the way, there are 3 of them around, but this is the one that blew today. Look at El Rodeo. That is the area that was primarily hit. And that pyroclastic flow just came right down, and there was just no time to warn people to get out of the way, and that's why we lost 25 lives earlier today. Numerous injuries, by the way, and those, of course, are going to be burn injuries as a result of that flow that came down, which, as far as the temperature, can be up to 1,000 degrees Celsius here. So terrible stuff, but it is a one-step event, right? And so that it's already happening. I think now the issue over the next few days will be the ash that continues to fall as a result of that, and so that's going to be problematic for folks across the area.
Still overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on $50 billion of Chinese exports threatens to wipe out progress made in trade talks between Beijing and Washington, China said on Sunday. The meetings came after Trump revealed plans to slap new tariffs on Chinese goods. There are also plans to hit Canada, Mexico, and the European Union with steep tariffs on metal imports. We have the details from the CNN.
Well, 2 days of trade talks here in Beijing, and at least from what we're hearing publicly, not a lot to show for it, as Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross left Beijing on Sunday evening after meeting with top Chinese economic negotiator Liu He. Chinese state media did put out a statement Sunday saying that the talks produced, quote, positive and concrete developments, but didn't go into any more specifics other than that. The main takeaway from that statement, though, was a warning of sorts, with China essentially saying that no economic agreements could be implemented if the United States goes forward with $50 billion in planned tariffs on Chinese imports. The statement went on to say, quote, agreements between China and the United States should be based on the premise of both sides moving in the same direction and not waging a trade war. Now, the tariffs were initially proposed as a response to alleged theft of American intellectual property by China, though within the last 2 weeks, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin had said that those tariffs were on hold. But then it was just last week that the White House said no. In fact, those tariffs were going to go forward. The products that would be targeted would be announced as soon as June 15th, and the tariffs implemented shortly thereafter. Publicly, the White House has shown no sign of backing off of those tariffs, and trade hardliners like White House economic advisor Peter Navarro continued to make the case for tariffs over the weekend. So the question becomes, if China says it won't agree to anything under the threat of tariffs, and the U.S. plans to impose those tariffs in just about 2 weeks, well, what was actually possible in terms of Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross's ability to accomplish anything concrete while here in Beijing? It's unclear at this point, and interestingly, we have yet to receive a substantive public statement from the U.S. side about this weekend trip.
And we go down to sports. 2015 World Youth Champion Christopher Taylor and Leah Nugent were the two Jamaican winners at Saturday's sixth staging of the Cayman Invitational at the Truman Bowden Sports Complex in Grand Cayman. Here's Trishana McGowan with the details.
18-year-old Taylor excited the fair-sized gathering with a well-timed run to outfox his senior rivals, including compatriots Javon Francis and Rashid McDonald in the international men's 400 meters. Taylor posted a new personal best of 45.24 seconds to finish ahead of American champ Page 45.35 and Francis 45.60.
It's our first 400 since February, so the coach gave me a responsibility out there, and that is the B-boy running with. Made out the first territory meter, travel down the back stretch even if they close on me. I should just keep on got my own race, and that's what I did. I came in straight, stay tall, and I came victorious.
Meanwhile, Leah Nugent landed the women's 400-meter hurdles in a season's best 54.76 seconds, beating compatriots Ristanana Tracy 55.38 and Yannick Hay-Smith 55.74, who also posted season's best efforts.
Execution, it wasn't perfect. Of course, there's always things I can improve on. I didn't stick to my normal pattern, kind of messed it up, but I've really been working on hurdles 9 and 10, and I think today it finally came together, so I'm happy with that.
Elsewhere, joint national record holder Shelleen Fraser-Price made a return to international competition with a second-place finish in the women's 100 meters in a season's best 11.33 seconds, with the event going to American Jenna Prendini in 11.16.
I felt really good, and I just have to, say I'm blessed. Because to come out here and to run 11.3, it just gets better and better. And the last time I ran in Kingston a couple weeks ago, I ran 11.5, and today I was able to run 11.3, so I'm really excited about the progress.
Meanwhile, Taekwondo Tracy was the top-placed Jamaican in the men's 100 meters posting 10.23 seconds for the runner-up spot, while compatriot Nestor Carter was third in the season's best 10.28 seconds. Ahead of Andy Whaley-Wright of Trinidad and Tobago, 7.75 meters, and veteran Caymanian Carl Morgan, 6.80 meters. Trishana McGowan, TVJ Sport.
And that wraps up the midday news. I am Herman Green. Remember, the primetime news package is at 7. Join us then. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.